Hello and welcome to round 12 of the ABB FIA FormulaE World Championship here in New York. A city so good we get to race here twice. Welcome to our second stint of the weekend here on American soil. Now, yesterday's race was action-packed. It was an absolute showstopper and certainly belongs on Broadway. But despite what prevailed on track, there are still 4 leading men at the top of the driver's standing. So without further ado, let the show begin on the streets of Brooklyn.
We go electric.
FormulaE is coming to town.
And now Evans is defending. Nick Cassidy wins his first race in FormulaE.
Hot dogs, get your hot dogs.
What a victory, Stoffel Van Dorn. Ferrari has the championship lead. Verne is champion again.
Check me.
Well, yesterday it was heart-stopping stuff, but to keep our pulses in check, joining us this morning is international commentator Jack Nicholls and 3-time Indy 500 winner Dario Franchitti. Well, what a day yesterday. We thought qualifying was dramatic when only one of the 4 championship contenders got through to the duels, but scrap that. The weather, the heavens opened, the race fell. Jack, then what happened?
Well, what happened then? I tell you, Nick Cassidy started on pole position, was doing a pretty good job actually, leading the race, looking fairly comfortable and reasonably in control. It started to drizzle a little bit at some parts of the circuit, and then it just absolutely chucked it down. This was where it was wet, but then this is Cassidy just hitting like a bow wave, and from then on, he's straight on. And then Degrassi's straight on, both into the barriers. Robin Freitz managed to continue. Scott Elkins, race director, had no real choice but to red flag it, count back 2 laps, so Cassidy wins, despite smashing into the barriers. Absolutely remarkable race. I've not seen a finish like that for a long time, if ever.
The heavens really did open. You were very lucky to be in the commentary box. I was not so lucky. We got very wet, as you can see there from those clips. Dario, it's quite unusual, isn't it, to have the race winner's car in the barriers, and yet they're also on the top step of the podium. I've also just got to point out that all the drivers were okay, a little battered and bruised, but fortunately they were all very safe and okay. But yeah, it's quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The race winner's car was actually in the skip last night. They had to bring a whole new car for that. There's a lot of a lot of late nights. But those are the rules, and maybe the rules need looked at now. We've changed the way qualifying works now. If you cause a red flag, you lose your lap, all that kind of stuff. So I do think maybe in the future that needs to change if you cause the accident. But it wasn't just Cassidy that went off. The drivers, they were the first ones to hit this torrential rainstorm. So I think the right decision ultimately. There were some people who felt aggrieved, particularly the Jaguar drivers, but that's them's the rules.
A bit fair, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the weirdest parts was some drivers then there was full course yellow, and Eduardo Mortara was under the full course yellow as he was crashing. So then he carried on, and then we ended up with a penalty. So he thought he'd had a good day and taken the championship lead, extended it, but then he gets a penalty late last night and only has a 5-point lead now over the rest of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Really tough day for Edo Mortara to drop from, well, he finished 5th on track, but actually 9th after that penalty. But why don't we have a quick catch up with Radzi to see what's going on down in the pit lane.
Nikki, it is safe to say there's an awful lot of energy here in Team Envision. Behind us here, Robin Freitz is now in his car making some final adjustments there. He got 3rd yesterday. People are absolutely animated about that. But just a quick reminder, Jack mentioned it during free practice. These guys here, the mechanics, worked just before midnight last night. Then they left the hotel at 4:30 this morning, and then they had to do more alterations after Parc Fermé closed, and that was mainly the alterations done to this car here. The magic really has happened for Nick Cassidy, who won yesterday. Now, speaking to Sylvain Philippe, he was saying that despite all the damage that happened, he would absolutely take it in a heartbeat, given that 1st and 3rd position. The guys have really worked their magic, and we're seeing a brand new car here. In free practice, it was looking like a good car. Could it be double bubble today? We've absolutely no idea, but looking at the guys here, there's a mixture of definitely sleep deprivation, but an undeniable pride with all the guys here. They can't believe what happened. They were so confident about the performance of the cars here, and so they're thinking that potentially, we know anything can happen here in New York, The weather, we don't know how that will go, but we do know that these guys would like what happened yesterday to happen again today, because here they're absolutely pumped.
Well, Jerome D'Ambrosio is the team principal of Venturi. I mean, what a day yesterday. A podium for Lucas, a crash, then a penalty for Edo. It was all going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a bit of a hectic end of the race yesterday, but look, most important thing is no one got hurt. Always difficult when, you know, it was a mix of circumstances. You have the cars that are practically, you know, not on slicks, but there's not much tread left on the tires at that point of the race. Then the rain coming down really strongly within 5-10 seconds. Difficult to react in under those circumstances, I think, for the whole ecosystem, to be honest. But look, now it's a new day. Focusing on today, and there's another opportunity, and hopefully we have another good race.
Confident for quali?
It's FormulaE, you know, confidence is a strong word, but look, I think we're preparing well, and so far everything's worked pretty well for us in the past few races, so there's no reason that it won't go that way today. But again, it's FormulaE, so you know, let's try to maximize, and then we'll see where we are in the end.
Cool, best of luck.
Thank you.
So Jerome D'Ambrosio, they're trying to do as much as they possibly can to maximise today's race and bring home a points haul. It's interesting, isn't it, how Envision just seemed really comfortable in this track. I mean, I suppose a little bit of luck went their way, but the results that we saw and the pace that we saw from both Nick Cassidy and Robin Freins was phenomenal. And Nick was saying that the tracks that we've been to previously haven't really suited them in this car. So is this really a weekend that they've got to capitalise on before we go into new tracks that might not suit them again?
You've got to capitalise on every race, because you don't know what's coming up. You don't know what's going to come around the next corner, never mind the next event. And that, you know, starts with qualifying right now. Yeah, you're quick in practice, or you weren't. You've got to perform right now. You've got to get the maximum out of your car in this next qualifying session. You've got 2 runs really to do it, 2 laps to do it. You've got to be inch perfect, millimeter perfect. And if you're not, if you make one slight mistake, it can all be over, and that can ruin your whole day, Nikki.
Let's also talk about the other championship leaders. So Jean-Eric Verne, Mitch Evans, Edo Mortara got 2 points, but the other 2 didn't get any. So the sort of the championship standings, those 4 at the top who were really supposed to kind of extend their lead, they've stood still, really. Yeah,
they have really, and I think right now, though, they're looking at that gap to Mortara, and when Mortara extended his championship run with 5th place, they were thinking, oh, that's not so good. And then, oh, Mortara's got a penalty. Great, okay, we've got a chance of, we didn't lose too much ground. So, but again, you know, we talk about yesterday, everybody now is focused. As soon as the checkered flag fell yesterday, they were focused on today's race.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so getting in the right mindset, what was the preparation you would do before qualifying?
I would be in the back, just slowing down my brain, just visualizing the lap and getting ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to do the same. Let's channel our Dario Franchitti, which actually I'm sure a lot of the drivers are trying to do right now. You're quite good at giving them advice from time to time. But let's find out what's going to happen for the second time here on the streets of Brooklyn in qualifying.
Round 12 of the ABB FIA FormulaE World Championship. The streets of Brooklyn ready for qualifying ahead of the EPRI later on this afternoon. And qualifying was very entertaining yesterday. And we have the championship leader going out in this first group, Edo Mortara, then 3rd place driver Jean-Eric Verne, Robin Freins, Nick De Vries, Pascal Wehrlein, Nick Cassidy, Sam Bird, Roland Askew, Sims and Camera are the drivers that will be heading out onto the track. The top 4 will advance through to the duels from 5th onwards. From 5th downwards, that will be their qualifying position. The clock is going to start in about 20 seconds time. And there is Jean-Eric Verne, 3rd in the championship. Struggled in qualifying yesterday when the rain came. Sam Bird was quickest in free practice 3 just an hour or so ago. Nick Cassidy, yesterday's race winner. Light goes green at the end of the pit lane. Wonder whether we'll see some teams going out just a little early because they were caught out by the rain yesterday. I don't think there's going to be any rain today, but we didn't think there would be any rain during the course of the race yesterday. There is Sam Bird ready to go. And this first qualifying group, there are going to be some surprises not making it through. This, I would say, if anything, qualifying Group A is actually weirdly a bit stronger than qualifying Group B, because Mortara, Byrne, Freins, De Vries, Verline, Cassidy and Bird, I would suggest are drivers all that you would kind of expect to be advancing through. In fact, one of the drivers said this to me earlier, that yesterday actually, that qualifying Group A, okay, there's a few differences because the championship position has changed overnight, but they think it's harder than qualifying Group B, just because of the drivers that are in there, which is an interesting thought. Because in theory, Dario Franchitti, it should be the same, because you're kind of doing every other position in the championship.
Yeah, I always used to think whichever group I was in was the harder group. And I'd sit at the IndyCar races with Scott Dixon and all that, listening to them, and oh, that group's really tough. And you're looking at it with a bit of distance now, going, actually, they are all the same. Yeah, it's, again, to me, at this point, you've just got to maximise it. And I keep saying it, but you've got to just maximise what you've got available to you. Just every braking point. And don't beat yourself. Don't do what Porsche did yesterday. Don't miss with Andre Lotter. Don't miss that last lap because you kind of get it wrong. And the Andretti guys with Jake Dennis got it wrong. The track, actually, we were thinking it looked a bit cleaner earlier on, but it looks pretty dusty again after the rain showers last night.
This is Nick Cassidy then. Pole sitter yesterday as well. Plenty of commitment into turn one, not much apex.
No, but by the commitment, I was surprised he even got that much apex, because that was some serious entry speed, and his car sliding around a little bit there. You saw the front of the car sliding, he lifted off, the back then came around. Yeah, just struggling for grip a little bit at the moment. The track will continue to improve. I think track evolution, because of the rainstorm last night, I think will be pretty big. Again, Nick Cassidy through turn 6 took a lot of speed in and almost missed the entry to turn 7.
He was told actually to back off on his qualifying lap yesterday in his first heat with Sam Bird, because Sam Bird made a big mistake at turn 1, lost 1.2 seconds, and the team said, look, Bird's made a big mistake, just bring it home, which he did, but he still managed to extend his advantage over Bird. Lovely sun coming out. It was drizzly and cloudy for qualifying yesterday, but beautiful sunny day now here in the Big Apple. Cassidy around the final corner, out across the line, and what sort of lap time is this going to be? It is a 1 minute 10.5, so it's a tenth slower than Sergio Sede Camera. Robin Freins follows him across the line, and he goes half a second quicker than Nick Cassidy. So Freins to the top of the times. Again, everybody has to set a lap time in the first 6 minutes of this session, and then a lap time in the second 6 minutes, and the top 4 advance through to the qualifying duels. This is Jean-Eric Vergne, and that's Nick De Vries, who is making his way on a prep lap by the looks of things. It was out and push for Freins, Sede Camera and Cassidy, whereas everybody else looks to be doing an out lap and then a preparation lap. Sims a quick first sector. Here is the Mahindra.
And Sims did a great job yesterday. I think qualified 6. That was really good to see for him. You could see the race pace just wasn't quite there, but his job in qualifying, he called it, I think, very well with the conditions as well. Took advantage of it, which is what you have to do.
Yeah, said he was quite fortunate because he was the first driver out on track, so he'd already kind of done his prep lap and he could decide to just push when the drizzle started. Fastest middle sector as well for Alexander Sims, and he does a 1 minute 9.981, 700ths quicker than Robin Freins. There's still Gill, team principal. Verline's done a quick sector 1 as well in the Porsche now, with 7 minutes and 38 seconds left on the clock.
But was Sims held up a little bit by Sam Bird? Sam Bird was starting his lap, so hopefully not. But yeah, that last sector wasn't quite as good. See Jean-Eric Vergne coming through turn 11 now.
There's a 100th up after the middle sector, through the chicane, down towards Clinton Wharf. Swings it through the left-hander. Mortara coming back. Sorry, not Mortara coming back into the pits. Who was that? It was Mortara coming back into the pits. Mortara's in trouble here. Mortara's not done a lap, and there's only a minute left on the clock before he has to do one in the first part of qualifying. What is going on here at the Venturi team? Verline goes to the top of the times, but the championship leader may well be starting this E-Prix from the back of the grid. He's pulling into the garage now. And they're done.
And it must be a big problem, because otherwise he would just trundle around to do that first lap. But yeah, big problems there.
So Eduardo Mortara, the championship leader, looking like he'll be at the back of the grid for the New York City E-Prix later on this afternoon. He's not going to get a lap in. He will be starting at the back. Here's Robin Freitz, who's pushing. He's almost 3/10 up on Pascal Wehrlein after the first 2 sectors. Oh, he hit the wall.
Yeah.
Slides and just brushes the barrier on the exit. Nearly hits the wall here as well with the big slide. As he comes across the line, Freitz still goes quickest, but only 200ths quicker than Pascal Wehrlein.
That's big bravery, because when you've hit the wall, you don't know if you've damaged the back, the right rear suspension, and as you turn into turn 14, a big commitment corner. If you've damaged the suspension, there's going to be a big shunt, but he absolutely flat out. Here's Edo Mortara coming down to turn 1. Yeah, big problems. And yeah, something that clearly he's not happy with, something in the powertrain. Just got out of the way. Must have felt something there and just getting out of the way. This is not what he needs, though. The championship implications are just huge.
Well, absolutely. Everybody's quite calm around.
No one's touching the car.
So
we're all looking at the engineer, waiting for instructions. The engineer is to our left, off camera.
There is Mortara's engineers,
and they're just looking at data right now.
But the thing is, it's too late now.
Oh, absolutely,
because he hasn't done a lap in. But obviously, maybe they can use the second half just to do a shakedown almost if they have got it fixed.
Yeah, make sure it's working for the race.
Yeah, goodness me. Just Formula E, just turn after turn. This is on board with Robin Freitz back in the pit lane.
Sylvain Philippe, last seen drowning champagne yesterday afternoon with a double podium for his team.
Yeah, Freitz saying so the car is so far so good. Again, highly positive words from Robin Freitz. There's D'Ambrosio and Delphine Biscay. I've asked the team what's happening, and they said they're waiting for info. So, 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Tyre change going on at Envision. At the moment, Freitz, Wehrlein, Verne and De Vries would be the 4 drivers that would advance through. Bird, a couple of but it's 2/10 first to 7th.
Yeah, and Sam Burton's 7th right now, though. He was quickest this morning, so he needs to put that lap together.
Sete Cameras knocking on the door as well, as he was disappointed. He thought he could be able to get through into the duels yesterday before he crashed. Sam Bird there, getting ready to head out. White helmet for him today. So, Mortara then. Speed, the pit lane limit is on. That's what that flashing thing means.
Sometimes you need reminded.
Yeah.
You know, if you leave the garage and they've reset some stuff, you need to know that that's on, because otherwise you get a penalty, as Mortara got yesterday, for speeding under full course yellow. The Seti Camera heads out on the track in the Dragon Penske. They need a good result today. Seti Camera not starting the race yesterday, and the other car retiring, so it'd be nice to see them get a decent result. Seti Camera, his lap will be spectacular, you know that. And it looks like rush hour. Everyone, all 11 cars, actually all 10 cars, Mortara's still in the garage, heading out.
So 3 minutes to go. We'll keep you up to date with the Mortara info, but he will be starting at the back of the grid, the championship leader. Now we just need to work out who will be in the top 4. If Jean-Eric Verne can get through here, then he's going to be in a great position. He'll be destined to start in the top 8 with Mortara down at the back of the field. Whereas yesterday, he had that open goal yesterday, didn't he? Remember him sitting in the garage after Mortara didn't make it through to the duels, and he didn't make it through to the duels. So big, big laps about to come up. We're going to go with Sergio Sede Camera for this. Dragon's home race, and he is just fun to watch.
I think he's doing a prep lap.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, he's doing a prep lap. Yeah, he is fun to watch. He's the ultimate sort of high wire walker. He just...
Front tires already 35, 30 highest. So I'm going to take it easy on the prep lap.
That's him happy. He has tire temperatures up on his dashboard, and he's trying to get them all into the operating window at the same time. There's no point getting the rears in if the fronts aren't in, so you've got to work to get them all balanced together and start that lap. And yeah, Seti Camera, as Mortara is out of the car.
Mortara climbing out of the Venturi. The championship leader will start at the back of the grid for the New York City Prix. if they can get the car fixed, if they can even test it.
But exactly, they cannot test it now. Oh, rush hour. Here, look, Sims trying to make up a load of places, trying to get his car into the right position. They've got enough time, 1 minute 23 seconds. So everybody should be fine to get the lap in.
I'm not quite sure why we're seeing this so much here.
Track evolution, I think just because it is so dusty, Jack.
Because it's more so here than any other race we've had all season.
Yeah, it's as bad as I've seen in a long time, just the level of dust.
Well, bit of side-by-side.
Bit of blocking going on there. Who?
It's the Andretti going past Cassidy. So Cassidy's now at the back of the queue. He's backing off.
He's fine.
The problem is, though, when he's... actually, Roland's at the back of the queue. The problem with all the backing off is presumably you're losing the tyre temperature that you just did a prep lap to try and get. Right, we'll keep an eye on everyone, making sure they come across the line. But here comes Sergio Sede Câmara, the Brazilian from Belo Horizonte, into the first corner.
And the other problem you've got, Jack, if you're back there and the car in front of you goes off, you've got to slow down for the yellow flag. So Sergio Sede Câmara, he might not have the best track position, but he's got a clear track. Or the track conditions, should I say, as he comes down now. Coming over the first split.
And he is... all right in the first sector, 800ths away from Robin Freitz. Sims is 2/10 down in sector 1, so not much doing there for the Mahindra in the first sector. Verne is a 1/4 of a second down in sector 1. That's not particularly strong from Jean-Eric Verne. De Vries has done a reasonable first sector, so it's actually Sete Câmara who's done the quickest first sector. Verline's nowhere, Freitz is nowhere. I don't know if all that checker flag is out. I don't know if all that messing around has cost them tyre temperature or something at the back. Sete Câmara is less than a 10th away after the middle sector. The Brazilian having a very nice drive as he comes to the final corner.
And this is where it all went wrong yesterday. Turn 14, clipped the inside wall because he felt he was going too slow. It looked like he did a good job, a little slow to the full throttle, maybe.
Sete Câmara goes quickest at 1 minute 9.566. Here comes Alexander Sims. He manages to go second, finds some pace. Cassidy's on a good lap.
Burns hit the wall. Burns hit the wall.
Jean-Eric Verne has hit the wall, and he is not going to be going through to the duels either. Remarkable stuff. De Vries goes up into second place. Freitz is on the bubble. He's hit the wall too, and is in 4th position. Is he going to get pushed out here by any of the drivers? Verline is 5th. Askew, Oliver Askew up into 4th place in the Andretti. What can Cassidy do? Yesterday's pole sitter, 2nd. Cassidy is through. Askew is knocked out. Verne is knocked out. Sete Câmara, Cassidy, De Vries and Sims, the 4 drivers that advance through to the duels. Jean-Eric Verne has made a mistake. He's hit the wall. And in a session that he could have capitalised with Mortara starting at the back of the grid, he's going to be back there as well.
The twists and turns. Great job by Sete Câmara. Let's see Jean-Eric Verne.
In the chicane.
12, 30. Oh, he just lost the rear. He's lost it very early in the corner. I wonder if when he hit the curb. But now he's damaged. He might have damaged the gearbox. And again, another car. He's not going to have a chance to test it before the race coming up pretty quickly here. Got the damage to the right rear corner.
So, Jean-Eric Verne not making it through. So far this season, it's just been non-stop, those top 4 on the podium. And in fact, yesterday was the first race of the season that none of the top 4 in the championship, i.e. Mortara, Van Dorn, Verne and Evans, it was the first race of the season yesterday that none of them were on the podium. Not one of them. And we could be on for the same today, because Verne is going to be starting, well, back in 16th place, where he was yesterday. Mortara will be at the back of the grid.
Sete Câmara, quickest. Sims, 4th, getting into the duels again. Oliver Askew just misses out on the duels in 5th. It's so jumbled up, and it just shows you've got to get you've got to get that lap done.
So Sergio Sete Câmara, quickest for the Dragon Penske Autosport squad. Cassidy 2nd, De Vries 3rd, Sims 4th. They are the drivers that will advance through to the qualifying duels. Askew will start on the 5th row of the grid. Freitz will start on the 6th row of the grid. He's not going to be happy with that at all. And yes, mistake for Jean-Eric Verne. Here's a look at Freitz, because he hit the wall as well. Same place as Verne, actually. So that's where he might actually have just collected Verne's debris.
Nope.
No, he hit the wall.
No, that was a hit. And to get through 14 well, you've got to get off turn 13 well. That's why the drivers trying to put the power down as quickly as they possibly can. The team can't touch the car yet to take away all that barrier. And the park firmly conditions. Yeah. Okay then.
Right, pressure's on Van Dorn and Evans here. Because they've got a big opportunity now of getting into the duels and trying to take advantage. There is Robin Freins.
And that was an opportunity for Freins too.
Yeah.
5th in the championship. It was an opportunity just to close that gap. Not to say he can't do it this afternoon, because the Envision car had big speed yesterday, and he's just made his job a bit harder. He didn't hit it hard though. He didn't hit the wall hard. There's no damage, there's no markings on the tyre or the wheel.
Bird.
Yeah.
Bird. I didn't
really want to say.
Okay. I hadn't really covered it off, but 10th. Quickest Sam Bird.
5 seconds off on the laps was clearly a big mistake, or he might have got caught up in someone else's issue.
Just at the start, was there something going on at the start of that Freins replay? At the start of that Freins replay, it felt like there were people side by side. Was that Vern coming? It felt like people were side by side into the final corner or something, but I might have made that up in my head.
Potentially.
Yeah. Right, qualifying Group B, 2nd, 4th, 6th in the championship, etc. Van Dorn, Evans, De Grassi, Da Costa, Lotterer, Dennis, Buemi, Turvey, Gunter, Ticktum, Giovinazzi. Big opportunity here for Van Dorn and Evans.
Yeah,
big, big, big. And Evans yesterday didn't score any points, was you know, devastated after qualifying. Can he get back on form? Green flag, session begins. Same deal, 6 minutes, get a lap in, another 6 minutes. What can Antonio Giovinazzi do? Has been fairly well dealt with by Sergio Sette Camara this season in his rookie year, Antonio Giovinazzi. But yesterday he did actually out-qualify his teammate, but that didn't really count because Sette Camara was in the wall.
I was going to say, Sette Camara's car had 2 wheels on it.
Yeah, it's a 7-4 in Sette Camara's favour so far this season. Out goes Turvey.
You see Cassidy coming back in from, he's been on the weighbridge at the other end of pit lane, so he's coming back into the Envision garage. Lucas De Grassi as well, just leaving. Interesting to see what he can do today. Had a really strong day yesterday.
Yeah, and it was his best qualifying performance of the season for De Grassi, 3rd on the grid. And that, when he qualifies well, he's a real contender, but maybe that doesn't quite have to...
I think this is opportunity right now for those sort of less fancied runners and riders. This is opportunity right now. We just saw that in Group 1. So, you know, whether it's Dan Ticktum, Giovinazzi, Max Gunter's had a tough year, but this is a good track for Nissan. Oliver Turvey, this is a good chance for them. Sebastian Buemi qualified so well yesterday, qualified 5th, so and had a good finish. So he'll be looking for more of the same today.
Here comes Giovinazzi into turn 1. The Italian from the south of Italy, down near Puglia.
I was down there a couple of weeks ago.
Puglia?
Lovely.
I've never been. Never really done so. Only kind of Naples and Amalfi is the most south I've been.
Very warm.
Yeah, I bet. Antonio Giovinazzi now coming down towards turn 6 and 7. Onto the brakes. 23.8 in sector 1. And he's the first driver through, so we'll see how everyone else is doing. Ticktum's on a prep lap at the moment, so he's 3 seconds slower in that first sector. Giovinazzi through turn 9, down towards the Manhattan hairpin at turn 10. Evans is on a prep lap as well, so I think Giovinazzi's the only driver pushing on this lap.
Yeah, all under control so far, but whether it's quick and under control, we'll soon find out. That's just a difference in driving styles. You know, you watch Sergio Sette Camara, and every lap looks like he's absolutely on the edge of having a big one. Where Giovinazzi's a bit smoother, but he's not been able to wring the speed out of that Dragon Penske car that Sette Camara has yet. 110.4 so far. Antonio Giovinazzi. Let's see how that stacks up. De Grassi so far 1/4 of a second quicker through the first split alone.
It was a 9.5 was what Sette Camara did in that first sector. Sorry, in that first session. Sam Bird had to slow to avoid Jean-Eric Verne, we think. So I think that's what happened to Bird on his way back in.
Sometimes with the windscreen and sometimes with the bug, and right now Sam Bird can get absolutely no luck at all.
De Grassi goes 7/10 quicker than Giovinazzi, a 1:09.7 for the Brazilian, which is a pretty good effort. Tictum's pretty much matched him in the first sector. Nobody else is pushing just yet, with 8 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock.
Here's Tictum now, going into turn 9. A bit of understeer towards the wall, coming off a 9, but he's coming to the next split once he gets around 10. Nice and smooth through 10.
Through the split now,
Oh,
he's
he's
up.
up! Yes!
700ths up on Lucas de Grassi here. Nice stuff from Dan Tictum, 2/3 of the way around the lap. Mitch Evans is slower. Oh, Da Costa's just done a big first sector. Here comes Tictum into the final corner.
Right up to the apex wall, not scared at all.
Tictum goes second, 2/10 slower than De Grassi in the end, but we got some quick lap times coming in now. Here comes Evans through the final turn. He is fractionally up on De Grassi after the second sector, and he does go quicker by 1/10 of a second, a 1:09.599. Oliver Turvey next through. He goes slower than Tictum by just over 1/10 of a second. Jake Dennis getting a bit loose, coming through turn 14 at Clinton Wharf. Dennis slots into second place, nevertheless, only 100th slower than Evans, but Da Costa, Lotterer, Gunther, Van Dorn, all going quicker. Here is Da Costa, the Portuguese. He's going to be the first of them to come across the line. This is just their kind of banker laps, but Da Costa has put a good one in the bank. 2/10 quicker than Mitch Evans. Here comes Stoffel Van Dorn, and he goes second. So at the moment, both of the title contenders are in the duels as it stands. We've still got 7 minutes to go. Gunther goes up into fifth, and there goes Lotterer into second place in the Tag Heuer Porsche. And that's everybody with their first lap in the books. Da Costa, Lotterer, Van Dorn and Evans would be the 4 drivers that would advance. Dennis is just 100th away. Gunther's in the mix. De Grassi for Venturi suddenly slipping down to 7th.
How much of that's track evolution? And if that is the case, it means you're going to want to be last, which means you're going to have more traffic jams coming on. And Evans is on another lap, it looks like.
Yeah, he's on the fastest middle sector of anyone here, Mitch Evans. And then did improve, although he didn't gain any places. So didn't improve in the final sector, Evans. Got a better lap time, but remained in 4th spot. So interesting choice there from Evans to finish that run.
He might not have felt his tyres were really in the window on that first run, so he thought, why not just do another one? And yeah, now you've got to think about where you made a mistake, where you left a bit of time on the table, where you maybe overdrove the corner, and try and tie it all together, tell the engineers whether they need to fix the car.
De Grassi went again and got him into 4th place, nudging Evans out. So at the moment, Evans is out in 5th position, despite going again. So De Grassi improved. Suddenly Tictum, after looking like a bit of a hero, it's 10th and 11th for the 2 Neos, just down there with Sebastian Buemi, who was really impressive in qualifying yesterday.
Look at the gaps, sort of from Gunther up to Lotterer, really. In fact, the whole way through. Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. To get the difference between 1st and 8th right now is minuscule.
Less than 3/10 of a second. 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. Lucas de Grassi, the Rocket Venturi driver, slotting into 4th position, but their other man, Eduardo Mortara, will be starting at the back of the grid. Let's head down to Radzi.
I have to say, there's so much energy in the garage today. We saw drama yesterday, we're seeing it today, and especially with this car behind me here, Edo Mortara. Now, I'd love to be giving you an update in terms of data, in terms of a solution as to what happened. Currently, they are as unsure as we are from what they're saying. Now, a lot of the guys you can see behind us here are doing an awful lot of work. And as I say, energy, there are cars arriving behind us here. There's an awful lot taking place here. But in terms of the sim situation, in terms of the Sette camera, in that first group, who would have called them to both make it through to the duels? It's the second time Sette camera's done that this season, the 3rd time Alexander Sims has. Can the drama continue anymore? If it does, I'm not sure if we can take it.
We'll do our best. Might have a nap in between quali and the race, but we'll do our best, Radzi. 4 minutes and 7 seconds on the clock. Tyre change for De Grassi. And Mitch Evans ready to go as well. Big focus on here for Evans and Van Dorn. Everybody wants to be in the duels, but as we know, for Evans and Van Dorn, it's absolutely vital for their championship hopes.
It's not making too big a case to say that your World Championship hopes could really rest on getting this lap right.
Yeah.
Every qualifying session matters like that, and it's as it gets closer to the end of the season, you're getting less and less chances to take advantage of situations like this when your main championship rivals are starting at the back of the grid.
Now out onto the circuit they go with 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock to do presumably an outlap and a prep lap. Van Dorn and Evans, the last two on the track.
So they should, again, have the best track conditions. The drivers in front of them putting more rubber down. You can see the dark line as the rubber is going onto the circuit. And they're cleaning some of the dust away, which gives the drivers more grip. We see one of the Nissans. It's Gunther doing a big overtaking maneuver there. There was a gentleman's agreement at one point that you wouldn't pass people and all that. That seems to have gone out the window. Or you don't pass people on the preparation laps, the warm-up laps. Gunther looks like he's going for another hit. Maybe he's not doing a prep lap. Maybe he's just going to go. But why would you leave so early?
And Giovinazzi's coming back at him into the hairpin.
Practicing for this afternoon.
He might. I'm not quite sure. It felt like he did a gesticulation there as well, but I couldn't quite see. But maybe not. As he comes into to the right-hander, Giovinazzi.
So one negative of the halo, you can't see what hand signals are giving each other very well.
So let's focus on the fronts. Focus on the fronts. Starting a prep lap. Starting a prep.
Focus on the fronts. Front tyre pressures.
Happy to overtake if we can. Overtake if we can.
Van Dorn was having radio problems yesterday, wasn't he? Which I need to get to the bottom of. That's just reminded me. That crackly radio from Laney made me think, oh.
Yeah, all the technology in the radio doesn't work.
So when Stephen Lane says happy to overtake, is he saying overtake, or it's up to you? You know what I mean?
It's up to you.
Okay.
It's up to you. If you want, you can go past a couple of guys. If you're happy with your position, good. If he was not, he'd be saying, you know, something like, stop.
Overtake them.
It's critical. It's critical. We get by these guys here. We're up against it. We're not going to make it to the checkered.
Yeah.
He would be more succinct than that, but
yeah,
you get the point.
Right, 1:20 to go. Everybody doing their prep laps here, and then they'll be going for it. The times will be flying in, and the two title protagonists are going to be last across the line. Evans backing off. I just felt none of the first sectors were any good. Lotterer is starting his lap now, coming down into turn one. We're going to start with him. Oh, so late on the brakes.
And he got it stopped, but whether he got back to the throttle early enough, we'll only tell when we get to the first timeline, which is coming up here in about 10 seconds. Look how slippery it is back to the throttle over those new surfaces in turn 5. Bit of traffic ahead. That shouldn't be a problem. Everybody on the push lap now. Lotterer's first sector.
It's not a personal best. He's just over a 10th down on what Da Costa managed, and Ticktham is 2 tenths down. De Grassi is under investigation for qualifying procedure. The time in the pits is why De Grassi is under investigation. Slide for Andre Lotterer. Buemi's first sector is okay as well. Dennis's is not that great. Da Costa's isn't great either, so no real big laps coming in at the moment as far as first sectors are concerned. Then Lotterer is finding time in the middle. Here comes De Grassi, and then it's the two title protagonists. Van Dorn through the first sector, and he's 0.08 away from Da Costa. Evans is over a 10th away, so this is going to be really tight. Lotterer comes through. Ticktham goes 8th. Lotterer goes into second place. Dennis has done the fastest middle sector of anybody as he comes towards the final corner, goes into third place. Here comes Sebastian Buemi in the Nissan, really leaning on the car through that final corner from Buemi. Takes the checkered flag, and he goes up into 7th place. This is Da Costa, quickest currently on a 9.4. Comes across the line. Does he improve? No, he does not, but he remains quickest. But Van Dorn, Giovinazzi goes 5th. Good effort. Van Dorn, De Grassi and Evans are all going quicker. Here comes De Grassi across the line, and it's quickest at 1:09.3. So Jake Dennis is on the bubble. But then across the line comes Van Dorn. It's 3rd. Can Evans make it into the duels? Yes. Evans and Van Dorn both into the duels. De Grassi is quickest for Venturi, but he is under investigation for his time spent in the pits. But Evans and Jaguar through to the duels, along with Van Dorn. Big, big day now. And you can see the relief for James Barkley there, because that's kind of... it's not job done by any stretch of the imagination, but I think getting into the duels is a huge part of the job done.
You've ticked off the first part of your list, haven't you? You got to do that.
I think 70% of your race day is defined by getting into the duels. That's what I would say.
All you can do, Jack, is one step at a time, and that's the first step done. They've got there. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big moment in your whole race day. Like you say, if you don't get through at the duels, you just make things a lot more difficult. So, yeah, fair play to Mitch Evans. That was exactly what needed, as it was with Stoffel van Dorn. Degrassi down to 7th.
Yes, so that's literally just happened. Degrassi has just been demoted down to 10th now. So are they deleting Degrassi's lap times? That must be what's happening, that Degrassi's lap times are getting deleted. So Lotterer is going to make it through by the looks of things. There's the tower on the left. Degrassi has now been dropped down to 10th position. So Evans, Da Costa, Van Dorn and Lotterer will be the 4 drivers that go through to the duels. And that is just another... So it's back of the grid for the Venturi. They're the championship leaders in the team's championship.
Yeah. It's... Oh, we're going to see a good fight back today, aren't we?
Well, we're going to see him try, that's for sure. So Gunter 8th, 9th for Tictum.
Giovinazzi.
Yeah.
Joe, that's really good. Good morning for the Dragon Penske team.
And I think that will be his, comfortably his best qualifying performance so far. 17th was his previous best in Berlin, but he will now be on the 6th row of the grid. Mitch Evans, Antonio Felix da Costa, Stoffel van Dorn, Andre Lotterer, the 4 drivers advancing through to the duels, the 2 title protagonists in it. Dario's just pointing at clouds all day now. And I don't believe... Yeah, they're miles away. That's up in the Bronx.
It's not. That was to the west, which means it's coming this way.
It's not coming this way. It's fine. You need to stop being so stressed about the rain.
Oh, yeah, there's no rain coming. So what happened yesterday? Whoosh.
Florian modelling up there at Porsche. Porsche, I was just about to tell you the stat that for the first time this season, there were no duels in...
A Porsche.
A Porsche, but then it's deleted Degrassi's lap time, so Lottery gets through, so we do have a Porsche in the duels, as we have done at every race so far this season. So, let's go down to Nikki Shields, shall we? Because she's at Dragon.
I am, and with a team boss, of course, Jay Penske. Jay, the guys looking on form today. I mean, Sergio Sessi-Camera into the duels. That's a fantastic start to today.
Yesterday was certainly a day to forget, and hopefully today's going to be a day to remember. Sergio's done a great job. The guys worked so hard overnight to put the car back together, and Antonio's just continues to get up to speed and had a really good run just outside the top 4.
Brilliant. Okay, so what is going to be happening now between, well, I suppose you've got to give some words of advice to Camera before he goes out into the duels. What's the conversation going to be in the garage?
Just be fast and keep it off the wall.
Fair enough. Yes, okay, let's reflect on yesterday. Obviously, he was pushing hard and did clank that. It was a very loud noise, I think, for all of us at turn 14 there. But to be able to turn things around today, is he kind of in the right zone?
I think so. I think it's, Sergio he's emotional when he gets in the car, but he's extremely quick, and he's just got to put it together. He's got to stay calm, and he seems really confident today, and well, we hope to have a great result.
Well, and the fact that we're here, on home soil for you guys in New York, we absolutely love it. It's such an iconic race. What would it mean for you guys and also all of your fans that are here supporting to bring home some points today?
Listen, for all of our partners, and Mauser and Molex, all these folks that have been with us for so long, we really want to give them a great result today, and hopefully we can deliver it.
Excellent. Thanks Jay again. Penske, always a pleasure. Fingers crossed today is the day that Dragon get their first points of the season on the board.
Yeah, no points so far this year for the Dragon team. Andre Lotterer getting ready to head out in the Porsche, and it will be Lotterer and Sessi-Camera facing each other in the first of the duels, and then it will be Van Dorn against Cassidy, then it will be De Vries against Da Costa, and then it will be Sims against Evans as De Vries gets ready to go.
Now, this just isn't a sort of a repeat what they just did, because now you're at 250 kilowatts of power. The car's going to feel a lot different.
This is how the duels will work then. Lotterer, Sette Camera. Van Dorn versus Cassidy. De Vries versus Da Costa. Sims versus Evans. The winners through to the semi-final. The winners go through to the final. The winner takes the Julius Baer pole position and 3 points along with it. So, fascinating session coming up. Van Dorn and Evans, yeah, they are on course to potentially face each other in the final, because they're on different sides of the draw, which would be quite something.
Are you calling it?
No. Maybe. Maybe.
Jack.
You know what? I think Cassidy's got a shot at beating Van Dorn. And I think Evans versus De Vries or Da Costa would be tough, but yeah, I'm not calling it. I'm not brave enough. Right, here we go then. The qualifying duels about to get underway. The first of the 4 quarterfinals here in New York City. Quarterfinal 1 is Andre Lotterer for the Tag Heuer Porsche team versus Sergio Sette Camera for Dragon Penske Autosport.
I love the new qualifying format. It works great with the first 2 groups, and then the reward is there going into the duels head-to-head. I think it's a great show and also really cool in the car.
Hopefully I can do well. I really like this format where you just have one shot to give everything you have, so let's see how I do.
Light goes green at the end of the pit lane. Lotterer goes out. Sette Camera will follow him through. Lotterer has never made it through to the final. Made it to the semi-finals on 4 occasions. He's got a half-and-half ratio, Andre Lotterer. 4 times he's won his quarter-final, then lost in the semi. 4 times he's lost his quarter-final. Sergio Sette Camera, meanwhile, is only in his 2nd dual appearance. Outlap, then they push. Florian Modlinger, the boss of the Porsche team. I say boss of the Porsche team because I find that title too complicated to remember.
They must have extra long business cards.
Yeah, exactly. Jay Penske.
The boss.
The boss, again. And he is going to be watching Sergio Sette Camera try and beat Lotterer here. And you think he can do it, don't you?
I do, because Sette Camera has got absolutely nothing to lose. Lotterer, obviously, multiple Le Mans winner, proper driver. Sette Camera's just, he's like, I'm in the duels, this is mega. I've done it again, right, go.
Lotterer's had a great season as well. Last year was not good for the German. He recovered a bit in the second half, but this year I think he's been really very decent. Here he comes through the final corner. Out across the line, he starts his lap, and then Sette Camera will start his lap in about 10 or 15 seconds, and the quickest driver goes through. Simple as that, and we'll keep you up to date with both of their lap times as we go. Lotterer across the line, Sette Camera across the line to start his lap now on the run down towards turn 1.
They actually pass each other. The straights are back-to-back between up into turn 1 up to turn 6. Lotterer's first split, 23.1.
Oh, huge jump on the curves as he comes through there. Sette Camera slightly quicker through the first sequence of corners. Now Lotterer coming down towards the left-hander of turn 9 onto the brakes. So he always just looks so aggressive on the brakes.
Yeah, maximum attack lap from them both, clearly. I love the style of both these drivers.
300ths, the advantage to Sette Camera. Now it goes to 7,000ths in Lotterer's advantage as he gets onto the brakes into the right-hander at Buttermilk Bend.
Looking good so far.
Oh, very good. He's just extended it quite a lot after that sequence of turns 6, 7, and 8. Into the final corner comes Lotterer. Out across the line. The Porsche right up to the wall. He sets the benchmark at 1 minute 8.685. Sette Camera through the chicane. He's a 10th or so away. Into the final corner, he's now only 300ths away. It all comes down to this final corner at Clinton Wharf. Maybe Lotterer looked a bit quicker across the line. He was. Lotterer goes through. Porsche advance. Lotterer into the semi-finals.
400ths of a second, full marks to both drivers there. That was nothing left on the table, no mistakes. That was good to watch.
Yeah. Very fun, and a good lap from Andre Lotterer to book himself a place in the semi-final. And Sede Camera just missing out, but I think his lap time was good, so we'll see what it comes of it. Next up, Stoffel Vandoorne versus Nick Cassidy. Mercedes EQ versus Envision Racing. They've raced each other twice before in the duels, one apiece. Ian James ready to go. Down in the Mercedes EQ garage. Vandoorne coming into the final corner now. This man is in championship contention. He is second in the championship. He's only 5 points off Mortara in the lead. Mortara will be starting at the back of the grid. If Vandoorne gets pole, he'll only be 2 points off Mortara in the championship lead. Big lap incoming. Cassidy took pole position yesterday. Onto the brakes into the first corner.
And this is a whole new car today for the Envision team. That car, he won the race yesterday, Nick Cassidy, but the car was pretty much, I mean, it's absolutely destroyed in turn 6.
New cars, aren't they?
And so, yeah, a lot of repairs overnight.
Cassidy's got the advantage. Huge hit on the curb for Vandoorne, but Cassidy's a 10th up coming into the first sector. Maybe a bit of a slide on the exit of turn 7. Still just under a 10th between them, though.
Yeah, you've got to say Vandoorne did not look good coming out of 7, a bit wide.
Into the Manhattan hairpin. Vandoorne closes the gap a little bit to Cassidy. 0.06 of a second between them. The gap goes up again to 0.09 of a second. This is a really, really tight duel. Cassidy took the early advantage. He's still managing to hold it at the moment. Vandoorne towards the final corner is now up to 0.2 of a second. Cassidy's flying. Vandoorne through the final corner, out across the line. The championship leader does a 1 minute 8.765. That's slower than Sergio Sede Camera's time. Here comes Cassidy through the final corner. Surely he's going through to the semi-final. He is by a 10th of a second.
The run continues for the Envision guys.
Absolutely. And Vandoorne's time of a 1 minute 8.765, as I say, is slower than Sergio Sede Camera. So he will be at the back. You can see how slidey he was. Vandoorne saying he made a mistake at 12 and 13 on the radio. That was there.
Yeah, got too much curb and the first part 12, and it put him offline. He's trying to recover the car, get the tyres back in contact with the ground.
De Vries versus Da Costa now. Mercedes EQ versus DS Techeetah in qualifying duel number 3. I must correct myself. It was Cassidy saying he made a mistake at 12 and 13 on the radio, not Vandoorne.
Cassidy looked like he almost went into the wall in the exit of 14 as well, but yeah, got it all done. This is an interesting duel. Two former champions lining up against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. There is Da Costa turning it up to full power as he comes through the final couple of corners. Da Costa versus De Vries. Back into the pits comes Cassidy to prepare for his quarter-final. Semi-final. He's already through, of course, as Da Costa comes across the line now, down towards turn 1. We're going for the split screen, so we've delayed Nick De Vries's onboard camera there on the left-hand side to get it as close as we can to identical. 0.04 is De Vries's advantage at this point on the track. Now we come out onto the back straight, and we'll get another sector split here as we get onto the brakes into the left-hander of turn 6. Who's going to have the advantage? Oh, they're 0.02 between them. Incredibly close.
Yeah, just watching the precision with which they drive these cars, although Da Costa's pulled out 0.2 on Nick De Vries. Where did that happen?
Down towards the Manhattan hairpin they come. De Vries is catching after the next couple of corners, but it must have all been in 6 and 7. Now towards Buttermilk Bend. Gap is up to almost 0.2 in Da Costa's advantage.
Millimetres off the wall on the exit of the corner and the midpoint. Oh, De Vries back to within half a 10.
This is going to be so close across the line. Da Costa versus De Vries. It's Da Costa. De Vries nearly got there in the end, but Antonio Felix Da Costa makes it through to the semi-finals for DS Techeetah. A 1 minute 8.721, a 8.880 for De Vries. So that was still also slower than Sergio Sede Camera. So Sede Camera, then Vandoorne, then De Vries. That's the current order. As we look at De Vries again, this was where the time was lost, a lot of it. Oh, he got on the curb there on the second part. You'll normally see them up there.
No, climbed the curb, and that when the rear wheel's off the ground as it comes off the curb, doesn't allow you to put the power down because the wheel's in the air. Yeah, you heard it, and then it snapped to oversteer. So tiny mistakes.
So, final quarter-final. Alexander Sims for Mahindra Racing against Mitch Evans for Jaguar TCS Racing. Sims has been performing well yesterday as he comes across the line to start his lap. Down towards turn 1. Oh, you can hear the tyres squealing. He kind of got there still.
Yeah, got into the apex. Oh, Mitch Evans right up against the wall out of 14th.
1 pole position so far this year for Mitch Evans. That was in Monaco.
Much more under control for Evans.
We'll see the first split. Sims is quicker. Sims is quicker by 0.08 of a second. Huge hit on the... I don't know why I say that every time.
But it's so spectacular to watch them do it. Sims looking good so far.
We'll get another split here. Evans is catching, but only takes a couple of hundredths out of Sims' advantage. Neat and tidy through there for Evans, and he closes the gap again by a couple of hundredths. Here is Sims coming down towards the right-hander at turn 11.
Decent middle sector for Sims.
The gap goes up again a little bit in Sims' advantage. Still half a tenth away. This will be big if Evans can't make it through to the semi-finals. He's closing the gap a little bit again, but it's still only 400ths between them. Sims out across the line. It's a 1:08.796. Whoa, that looks like opposite lock for Evans, and he tapped the wall on the exit of the chicane. He's only 300ths away. Evans to the line in the Jaguar. Who's going through to the semis? It's Sims. Alexander Sims beats Mitch Evans by 0.06 of a second.
I love this qualifying format. It is nuts. What a job by Alexander Sims and the Mahindra team. You see James Barkley not happy.
And that will be 7th on the grid for Mitch Evans. 5th will be Sergio Sette Camara. 6th, Stoffel Van Dorn. 7th, Mitch Evans. 8th, Nick de Vries. So the 2 title protagonists who are up in the front of the field will be 6th for Van Dorn and 7th for Evans. They'll be together on the grid. Only once this season has someone won an E-Prix from lower than 4th, and that was Evans in Rome when he was started 9th. Wow, Sims, well done Sims. Well done Sims.
Started 6th yesterday.
Lotterer, Cassidy, Da Costa and Sims will be on the front 2 rows of the grid. New York is really mixing stuff up.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, don't disagree. So, we're moving on to the semi-finals shortly. Da Costa's had a pole this year. Cassidy had a pole yesterday. Lotterer has not had a pole this season. And nor has Alexander Sims. So, got a 50-50 chance of a new pole sitter as we have a look at Mitch Evans. So this is the chicane. And despite... Oh, he was fighting it, and then that little tap.
He caught the wall, yeah.
But he was still quick through the final. He closed it. He closed the gap through that sequence of corners. Oh, the clouds. Yeah, I know there's clouds.
He didn't... Evans didn't lift, though, so fair play to maximum attack.
So, Lotterer beating Sette Camara. Cassidy beating Van Dorn. Da Costa beating de Vries. And Sims beating Evans. Lotterer versus Cassidy and Sims versus Da Costa will be the semi-final face-offs. And then we'll see who gets into the final, and then who gets the Julius Baer pole position and the 3 championship points. It won't be for one of the championship leaders.
If Sims could get those 3 points today, that would take him to 5 points for the total of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true, very true. Right, Stoffel Van Dorn eliminated. Let's go down and hear from him. He's with Radzi.
Well, Stoffel Van Dorn, another race, another Jules, another quarter-final, but I imagine disappointed not to go deeper today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you always want to progress once you get into the duels and then into the quarterfinals. But yeah, it was a little bit more tight today. I think if you look at the lap times, everyone is like within 1.5 tenths. So, you know, yesterday I missed pole for like 8,000s, and today I just missed, you know, the quarterfinals for less than a tenth or something. So, yeah, it is what it is. I think first of all, the team did a great job to repair the car from the crash yesterday. So, yeah, to get out there today with the car, everything feeling fine is already a huge achievement, and we're still in the fight for the race.
Very much in the fight. The top four couldn't be more exciting. Have a fantastic race.
Thank you.
Stoffel Van Dorn then naturally a little disappointed, and we will see what he can do in the Ypres. 6th place is not bad, ahead of Evans. He's the furthest forward driver in the championship, so it's not terrible for him at all. Andre Lotterer in those first duels was the 2nd quickest driver, and this was his lap.
And the lap really is already started. It's a momentum you carry out of 14 that really counts all the way down the straight. Right on the edge into one. Late turn in, bit of understeer. Just listen to him play with the throttle through this section. And he got back to the throttle, didn't have to back off at the exit. That was really nice. Now he's trying to pick out his braking point for turn 6. Watch the curb. Oh, floated so much speed into 6.
This is the thing watching Lotterer, like it always looks like he's braked too late. That's how it always feels to me.
Yeah, that was lovely. He kept the brakes all the way into the apex of 6. Nice and straight out of 9. Didn't get that snap of oversteer on the surface change. Straight early out of 10, that's important. Wasn't wide and trying to recover. Did a really good job there. Here the rear's locking into 11. Threads the needle through 12, 13. Didn't hit the wall, but right up against it. Now watch this. Oh, yeah, didn't go full throttle and lift. Kept more of a consistent throttle, and that is a bloody quick lap around New York City's Ypres circuit.
Certainly does. Andre Lotterer through to the semi-finals. So the semi-finals about to get underway here in round 12 of the ABB FIA FormulaE World Championship. After this, just a double-header in London and a double-header in Seoul to come in, well, in 4 weeks' time, we'll know the champion.
Yeah.
4 weeks about now, because Seoul is ahead, isn't it? So probably literally in 4 weeks now we will find out.
I see this one going to the wire, don't you?
Absolutely. You reckon?
Possibly.
Right, next semi-final coming up in 3 minutes. Let's head down to Radzi before that.
Sergio Sette Camera, 24 hours ago, it was a nightmare for you in the race. In terms of the duels, you must be pretty happy to have qualified.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only the 2nd time this season we've made it to the duels. Of course, it's very disappointing to miss off by 0.04 of a second. Fine margins. I did a small mistake, but I think no one does a perfect lap. You know, you just have one shot, and we really focus on the 220 power laps during pre-practice. I didn't practice any 250. This was one of my few tries. So, yeah, anyway, I'm happy to make it to the duels. It's a team home race, and it's one of our strongest quality results. So.
And a massive opportunity to get points for the team as well.
Absolutely. When we qualified well, it was in Berlin, I believe, and that's a track where we know we don't race well. We've typically not been strong in the races this year, but New York is somewhat of a better track for us. I won't say it's the best one. Probably that will be London or somewhere like that, but it's one of the tracks where we can be maybe competitive and stay in the top 10, maybe take some points home.
Have a good race, Sergio.
Thank you.
Want some points, said he. Want some points, said a camera.
Yeah, but he was saying that this might be one of the better tracks. It's not an energy-heavy track. It's not an energy-hungry track here in New York, and that would suit the sort of the Dragon Penske car because it's not as efficient as some of the other cars on the grid. We're hoping, obviously, the new Gen 3 car coming out, the new powertrain for next year, with their partnership with DS. That we're hoping for some bit of a step up on that.
There's Lotterer getting ready to head out. And he will be out in the first of the semi-finals. He got here by beating Sergio Sette Camera by that tiny margin. Van Dorn was knocked out by Nick Cassidy, so that's how Cassidy ended up in the semi-final. Da Costa managed to beat Nick de Vries, and Alexander Sims managed to beat Mitch Evans, so that's why those two are into the semi-finals, and the battle for the final is going to be on imminently, really, starting with the first semi-final here in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Andre Lotterer in the Tag Heuer Porsche up against Nick Cassidy, the pole sitter yesterday for Envision Racing.
Qualifying is all about being the fastest, put your best performance in one lap, be the fastest, start first, there you go.
For me, it's all about doing the best I can do. It doesn't matter about him, I do my best, that's all it is.
You agree with that, don't you?
I do. I built a career on that.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's all you can do. And you forget it. The dual format's great for us. It's spectacular. The driver has just got to maximise everything you've got.
Just to go back in time a little bit.
Okay, how far?
1914. No, not really. Brake-by-wire issue for Eduardo Mortara, which kind of explains the braking into turn one and then just having to not.
Yes.
So hopefully they can get that ready. Thank you to Sam Smith from the Hyphen Race for pointing that out. So here we go, Lotterer versus Cassidy. I mean, Cassidy's the man in form, isn't he?
You'd have to say so, but you wouldn't bet against Andre Lotterer. Some of his qualifying performances have been spectacular, and the depth of experience. It's funny, these two guys both made big strides in their career in Japan. Lotterer did it several years before Cassidy, but both have won multiple championships in Japan. In fact, dominated the scene for a while. And then came back to FormulaE. Lotterer still has not won a race in FormulaE, which I find incredible, as he starts this lap out of 14, up against the wall. Now he's trying to pick out that braking point into one. Can he gain any time here? The danger with that is you overdo it and miss the braking point.
Cassidy, meanwhile, is starting his lap now, out of the final corner. Look, hurtling out across the line there, Cassidy, down towards turn one. Got it in. We'll see the first split in a moment, and Cassidy was slightly quicker.
Missed the apex.
That's going to cost Lotterer a lot of time. Cassidy had the 300th of a second advantage after the first corner. That Lotterer mistake won't come through yet because Cassidy hasn't got to that part of the track, if you see what I mean. So there's still just 600s between them. Cassidy sends it flying over the curbs. Let's see what happens here on the exit. Does this give Cassidy a big advantage? Huge, more than 0.3 of a second.
Now Lotterer's going to take more risk. He knows he's made a mistake, so he's going to push harder to try and close the gap, but it's over half a second. That's not coming back.
Cassidy's going to be going through to the final again. Another front row start for the New Zealander if he keeps it all together. Whoa, a bit wide from Lotterer, and he had to get off the power. Comes across the line, and it is a 1:10.420 for Andre Lotterer. Here comes Cassidy towards the final corner. He's got a second advantage through the left-hander, out across the line, and the Envision car is on the front row of the grid. 1.6 seconds quicker than Lotterer in the end. Envision go through. Again, another car that was rebuilt big time after yesterday.
That's a new car.
Yeah.
It wasn't even rebuilt. The old one's lying out the back of the garage. Fantastic job from them. Yeah, Lotterer, you could see that he just had to push harder because to try and close that gap again, and it caught him out in turn 14. But still starting on the second row.
That was Lotterer just going into hot.
And the lap before, he sailed so much speed into turn 6. Watch on board here. Yeah, the front just wouldn't turn, where the lap before it, he managed to get the rear of the car sliding to help it rotate. This time wouldn't turn, and that was a result. But you got to push if you want to be on pole.
Second semi-final, Alexander Sims in the Mahindra against Antonio Felix da Costa for DS Techeetah. Now, I wouldn't have backed Sims at this point, personally, because, you know, overall, coming into the duels, but he beat Mitch Evans. He beat Mitch Evans. He's in great form, Alexander Sims. He's got a shot here at beating da Costa, who took pole last time out, and now I've absolutely cursed him.
Yeah, he got it stopped though. You can see the car bouncing as the front locked, but he got it stopped, Jack.
Okay, we'll see what Da Costa does when he emerges here, down towards the first corner for Antonio Felix Da Costa. Onto the brakes, into the left. 7 thousandths between them.
Da Costa a lot more in control through turn 1. Oh, nice from Sims through there.
Sims is almost a 10th up on Da Costa after the first couple of corners. We'll get Da Costa's split in a minute here as he comes down towards turn 6. Who has the advantage? It's close, 100th, but it's still Sims's advantage.
Say Sims looked better in and out of the 6 and 7 complex. Let's see what it does for the time. Da Costa catching him 3 thousandths.
Nothing in it, nothing in it. Sims now to the chicane. Little chirp of the tyres as he bounces through into the final corner at Clinton Wharf. The car sliding, and Da Costa is now ahead by 3 thousandths as they come towards the final corner. We'll get another split just as we come into the final turn. Not really aggressive on the curbs for Da Costa in the way that Sims was. He's ahead by 300ths. It's going to be so close. Da Costa versus Sims for the front row of the grid. Da Costa by 1/10.5, all in that final corner. DS Techeetah are on the front row with Antonio Felix Da Costa.
And a great job from both those guys. Sims as well to put that lap together. Him, the Mahindra team, that was impressive. But Da Costa just threaded the needle.
That was fantastic.
Wasn't it?
Fantastic stuff. And Sims books himself 3rd on the grid with that performance. Sims, you know what? Sims has had a difficult season in some ways. He's been out-qualified by Oliver Rowland. Well, it was 8-3. He was his lock-up into turn 1. So it's now 8-4, but Sims's best qualifyings have been better than Rowland's. You know what I mean? Like, Rowland out-qualifies Sims more often than not, but Sims has been 2nd and 6th, whereas Rowland actually 7th in Diriyah is his best appearance. So it's like Sims's peaks are kind of higher.
Yeah, he's done that interview recently. He said, look, I'm not enjoying the pressure of it all. I want to go do something else next year. So he said, I'm not going to come back, do FormulaE. It's just, I want to try something else. And the time spent and everything. So, and since he's done that, it's like the weight of the world's been lifted off his shoulders, and you're seeing these performances. He's a really good driver. We don't get as many pole positions. Remember that time? Did he do 2 or 3 pole positions?
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Talented guy.
Here in New York City as well, actually, now I think about it.
Yep.
I think it was the last race
5.
of the season in season 5, and then the first 2 poles in Diriyah in season 6.
That's right.
In the BMW. And the only other driver to have taken 3 pole positions in a row is Antonio Felix Da Costa. Right. This is where we're at. Sims will be 3rd on the grid. Lotterer will be 4th on the grid. Cassidy or Da Costa will be on pole position for the New York City EPRI later on this afternoon. Gets underway at the same time as it did yesterday. That is to say 1 o'clock local time, so 3 hours and 15 minutes from now. Right, we will be heading to the final in a moment in 6.5 minutes time, as we have a great view over downtown Manhattan. But let's hose off a few of these drivers, shall we? And catch up with some of them with Radzi.
Mitch, I'd love to find out how that race was from your end, because it was phenomenally exciting to watch. What was it like to be part of?
Yeah, it was intense. Obviously, starting towards the back, had a scruffy start to the race with losing a few places at the start, being on the dirty side. Started to recover. Started to I think it was around P11 when things started to heat up towards right before the rain, and then obviously it all kicked off with the rain. I was licking my lips because I quite like those conditions, and yeah, I mean, I just got De Vries for 10th, and then obviously we had the big crash and the red flag. So. Yeah, I won't comment too much on what the direction that obviously the FI went down, because I've been quite open that I don't agree with it. But anyway, a new day today, and hopefully it brings a bit more luck for us.
Thank you for your honesty in terms of today as well. Top 4, it couldn't be any more exciting. It's ebbing and flowing, whether it's in qualies, whether it was in the race yesterday. This is wide open.
It's wide open, yeah, totally. Obviously, we see, yesterday a few of us didn't qualify well with the rain, and then same again today. So yeah, I don't know where I will be compared to Stoffel, but yeah, we're going to be within the top 10, which is better than yesterday. I didn't have the best lap. I didn't put together a good lap. For the Jaws, Alexander did a better job than me. So yeah, a little bit disappointed with that. But look, I'm in striking range of towards the front, and that's what you need, because yesterday in the mid pack it was a complete mess.
Enjoy yourself today.
Thanks, cheers.
Yeah, the jungle, some of them call it, if you're in the mid pack. Fans having fun here in New York.
Helmets are cool, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not actually FIA regulation.
Really?
Yeah. Pascal Wehrlein has had his lap times deleted from qualifying Group A because of overuse of power, basically. Let's have a watch of Da Costa's lap down into turn 1.
Nice and controlled into 1. It's that late turn in to keep him over to the left to set up the acceleration point at 2. Playing with the throttle, keeping the car in balance. You see him correcting the oversteer all the way out. Again, this is a point where Lotter made his mistake, just a bit greedy. Not at this point, but right here. Tried to keep the speed up. Nice. Got the curb well. Kept the car tight out of 7. That's one of the keys. Now listen to the car hit the ground into 9. It wasn't too bad, so they're not running very low ride heights on the Estachita. Down to turn 10. Oh, very tight exit out of the hairpin. That allows you to get good drive out on the bumps into 11. This is when you have to start getting close to the wall. They'll start taking even more risk. Oh, for Da Costa, that was very tame. Oh, catching the oversteer all the way through 14. But Da Costa's got at least a 10 through the last sector if he's if he's going to be brave. So much easier sitting here just talking about where people are getting it wrong.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Mind you, you've seen me drive a simulator.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
No, it's not. I'm sometimes almost near you. Here is Da Costa then. On go the boots. He gets ready to head out onto the circuit. Him versus Nick Cassidy. Big for Estachita in the teams championship, because both Venturis are going to be towards the back. Estachita are 23 points behind them in the teams championship, so they could be ahead come the end of the Ypres, ahead of Venturi anyway. Depending on what Mercedes EQ do, they could be ahead of them. So it's incredibly tight in that.
And without being too mercenary about it, it's the team's championship that pays the money.
Yeah. The Staten Island Ferry, ever been on it?
No, wasn't there a song about that? I've been to Staten Island, I just haven't been on the ferry.
I don't think I have been on it. There's I don't know the Staten Island Ferry song. I'm sure now, hashtag NYC Ypres, everyone's going to be telling me about the Staten Island Ferry song.
Help us out. There's Manhattan. God,
you think
such a good view.
Are you thinking of ferry across the Mersey?
No, funnily enough, no.
Okay. Yeah, there is Governor's Island in front, and then behind is downtown New York. A minute and a half until the final comes up.
And at this point, the drivers they've cleared their mind. They're just thinking through that lap again, thinking in thousandths of a second where they could gain, where they lost, what they need to do differently. Just clearing their mind, getting ready to go.
Sims just having a chat on his way back. And here is how we got to where we are. Lotterer beat Sede Camera, Cassidy beat Van Dorn, and then Cassidy beat Lotterer in the first semi-final. Da Costa beat De Vries, Sims beat Evans, and then Da Costa beat Sims in the semi-final. And now we are here at the final with Nick Cassidy versus Antonio Felix Da Costa for the battle for pole in round 12 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Nick Cassidy for Envision Racing, Antonio Felix Da Costa for Estachita. These are the last two pole sitters. Which will it be today?
Qualifying This new format, I love it. Head to head, me versus him.
This is it. There's no better feeling in the world than smashing out a good quality lap, so here we go.
Away goes Cassidy out onto the circuit. Just again to cover a few of these off. The minimum pit-in, pit-out time is 100 seconds, and that's what Lucas de Grassi did not do.
What was his time?
It doesn't actually say, I'm afraid, but that was what de Grassi did not adhere to, and that's why he was knocked out of qualifying, because he was quickest in the group, wasn't he, at the end, I'm pretty sure. So now we've got this battle of a pole. As I say, the last two pole sitters, Nick Cassidy yesterday, Antonio Felix da Costa in Marrakesh. So here we go, it'll be one of them again. Both in great qualifying form.
So Cassidy weaving around, trying to get the temperature into those front tyres already, looking down at his dash, showing the temps. He's thinking, okay, am I there where I need to be? The fronts and the rear balance. No, not quite yet. Got to be ready for that first braking zone of turn one. Ah, Nick Cassidy's parents.
Yeah, they were here yesterday to watch him win, which was so cool when parents arrive and then you win your first race, I imagine.
Yeah, and Mitch Evans this year was out winning in Rome. His parents were there. Anyway, business now. Cassidy out of 14, starting the lap.
Down towards turn one, then comes Nick Cassidy in the Envision. The way the nose like dives down when he hits the brakes, and he's right on the edge, Cassidy.
Good so far.
Through the dock loop and out the back straight on Bound Street. Da Costa starts his lap now. Watch for Cassidy going the other way. There he goes.
And this is where that confidence counts. You know what you're doing is right. You just keep doing it.
Oh, big first corner for Cassidy. Almost 2 tenths up.
Crikey. Found a bit there, didn't he?
Down into the left-hander of turn 9.
Oh, a bit of understeer out at 9, though.
Towards the Manhattan hairpin. Da Costa closes the gap a little bit after the dock loop. 900ths away.
Nice out of 7 for Antonio Felix da Costa, kept the car straight.
800ths away. Chips away a little bit more at Cassidy's time. Cassidy so close to the wall on the way in there.
Watch him here.
Final corner. The gap's back up to over 1/10 of a second. Bit of a slide, keeps it neat and tidy. Benchmark time incoming for Cassidy, and it's a 1:08.584. Da Costa's 1/10.5 down. He needs a big final sector here, the Portuguese. Through the chicane. Here comes a split. Where are they at? It's grown. It's over 0.2 of a second. It's a big slide for Da Costa. He drives towards the line. Double pole for Cassidy in New York. Envision at the front.
Mega.
What a bunch of legends. What a bunch of legends.
I was wondering where he was going with that.
I thought we had swearing incoming, but what a bunch of legends, says Cassidy on the radio, referring to his team as he takes pole position for the second race here in New York City. And just as he did yesterday, the team rebuilt his car overnight. They were here till almost midnight. They were then set their alarms for 4:30 this morning to get the car scrutineered. And Cassidy has returned that favour by sticking it on pole for the second time this weekend, for the third time in New York City. 3 of his 4 poles have come here in Brooklyn, and his parents are here to watch.
Mighty performance by him, but also, as you've said, Jack, the Envision team. To do that, to set up a new car up, it's quick enough. The amount of time normally it goes into preparing a car, but to do that in a couple hours, fabulous stuff.
Cassidy will be pushed in to the weighbridge, get weighed, and there's the smiles all around. That's Robert Sattler on the right-hand side, his race engineer, talking to Tom Blomqvist, the reserve driver for Envision. Sylvain Filippi, the managing director. Just all the post checks, the post qualifying checks going on the pole sitter's car. But a great lap that from Cassidy. He was quicker than Da Costa in every single sector. Every single sector. As he climbs out of the car now.
He's on form, isn't he?
And look at that. Punch of the air. It was relief, it felt, for Cassidy yesterday once he took that pole position after such a kind of difficult and nothing-y season, really, for Cassidy. Because France had those strong results at the start of the year, was kind of in title contention, dropped away. Cassidy dropped away kind of with him. But now a double pole. And those are all of the mechanics that stayed up so late.
Leon Price in the white shirt talking to his crew.
Fast car out. We've got another fast car out the box.
Great job by that whole group.
Well, really tremendous stuff for the Envision team. Can he take the double win in New York City? Let's find out later on today. Let's head down to the pit lane and meet some happy people.
Well, I reckon I have found Nick Cassidy's biggest fan. Or maybe not, I don't know. Let's find out from his father, Peter Cassidy. Peter, you must be very proud right now.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we're at home, you know, for the last couple of rounds. We saw Mitch do it. We grew up with Mitch, Nick grew up with Mitch. And that was fantastic to see. But to come and replicate that was... sorry, I've had a cold, my voice is... But to come and replicate that too, have two Kiwis, you know, be so strong in this championship is, well, so strong lately in this championship has been really great.
And to see that first win yesterday, how did you celebrate as a family?
Well, it was a bit up and down, wasn't it? So I mean, yeah, it was great. I was just happy that the car, he was pleased with the car yesterday and he could drive it. I mean, yeah, I guess it's every driver's excuse, but he's had a very difficult season. You know, everything hasn't gone his way, so just to see him happy and enjoying driving the car yesterday was really what it was all about. So.
Well, you're obviously a good luck charm, so now you're going to have to come to every race going forward. Is that okay with you?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Excellent. Peter, always a pleasure, and fingers crossed, all the best for Nick in today's race. Our double pole sitter here in New York.
Yeah, great performance from Nick Cassidy. There he is, getting congratulated by everybody. A little chat with Sylvain Philippi, but this is how it ended up happening. Nick Cassidy beating Antonio Felix da Costa in the final. A 1 minute 8.584. That's actually a huge lap from Cassidy. That was the fastest lap of the whole session. Da Costa's lap was quick. Cassidy's lap was huge. Look, no one else got anywhere near it. Well, apart from himself, actually, back in the quarter-final. Right, let's hear from the man himself then. We've heard from the dad. Here's the driver.
Nick Cassidy, double pole sitter in New York City. You must be on top of the world.
Yeah, super happy. This place has been good to me. I mean, last year's qualies were good, and now to get the double Saturday, Sunday, really proud.
And just a word on your mechanics who've worked tirelessly overnight to get that new car sorted.
You know, I said on the in-lap now, I mean, it's not just last night. My guys put in so much effort. My mechanics work super hard to make sure every little detail's perfect for me. So, yeah, engineering crew as well, and this one's for them because they're the heroes, not me. I just drive around.
Well said, sir. Very humble. I'm sure your parents are absolutely delighted, and they'll be delighted to see the trophy be handed to you by Michael Bruckner, the Senior Expert Marketing Communications at Bosch, who presents the pole position trophy of Julius Baer. Nick Cassidy, the 2022 New York EPRI pole sitter.
Nick Cassidy then, pole position for the Envision team. Superb performance from the New Zealander, and as his dad was saying, grew up with Mitch Evans. This was the reaction as he came across the line. Quite reserved reaction actually in the end, wasn't it? Cassidy happy. Very impressive performance from Cassidy. So that's another 3 points for him in the championship. So that takes him up to 47. He is therefore 14 points off Andre Lotterer, who's 10th at the moment in the team's championship. Lotterer did manage to make it through and will be 4th on the grid, so that'll be an interesting fight. Antonio Felix da Costa, 2nd though in the end. Still a pretty decent lap for da Costa, but only good enough for 2nd on the grid. Let's hear from him, shall we? He's now speaking to Radzi after qualifying 2nd.
Antonio Felix da Costa, 2nd place in qualification today. No duels yesterday, front row today. You must be pretty happy.
Yeah, happy. It always sucks when you get to the final and you lose it. Did a small mistake. I was actually going all out. I really wanted that one, and I knew Nick was quick, so I had to put it all on the line, and I did a small mistake, so no regrets. Yesterday was a tough day for us, but not for a lack of pace. So, you know, we've been on a really good streak of qualifyings with 2nd place in Jakarta, then pole in Marrakesh. Yesterday we topped FP2, so we've been super fast in 1 lap, and yeah, so happy to get it done again today in the front row, and we have a good race car, I think. It's going to be a fun race.
You touched on it there. One of the reasons we love Formula E is it comes down to fine margins, so this race could be exciting.
It's, you know, we're all so close to each other now. There's barely any margins between, you know, most of the teams, so I know when it comes down to a pole lap like that, you need to put it all on the line and risk it a bit. And I just went a little bit over the edge, but as I said, no regrets. And in the race we saw yesterday, there was a big train of cars from P1 to P8. So again, super close, need to be smart. But I got a good group of guys behind me to help me do that. Because I'm not so smart.
I don't know about that. We look forward to seeing you race today.
Thank you.
I do know about that, but no, just joking. Da Costa, smart guy. This was him coming through that final corner, out across the line, and not quite securing pole position. Onto the brakes into turn 1. And, oh, this is actually his push lap, isn't it, that he's on now, coming around the dock loop. And then down towards turn 6. Hitting the brakes just at 100 meters. Oh, so late going in there, fantastic stuff. All neat and tidy this from da Costa, no obvious errors, all starts to go there a little bit into 9, didn't it? Manhattan hairpin. Maybe a little bit wide there, but he did get it straightened up quite quickly. Crunching the curbs. And then he's not as aggressive in the curbs in the chicane. Feather on the throttle. And that is how to not quite get pole position on the streets of Brooklyn. But a very, very quick lap, nevertheless, from Antonio Felix da Costa. Good enough for the front row. Not won a race yet this season. In fact, DS Techeetah have not won a race this season. And in fact, they are... Here's a look at how the grid will line up. Oliver Turvey will be at the back. No time set for Eduardo Mortara. Lucas de Grassi at the back as well after his lap times got deleted. Sam Bird got caught out by Jean-Eric Verne crashing, which dropped him down the order. Pascal Wehrlein only 15th for the Porsche team. 13th for Jean-Eric Verne in the DS Techeetah, the championship contender. Robin Freitz missing out on the top 10. Antonio Giovinazzi with his best ever qualifying performance. The two Avalanche Andretti's, Oliver Askew and Jake Dennis, are 9th and 10th. Nick de Vries is 8th. Mitch Evans, other title contender, is in 7th position. Stoffel Van Dorn is 6th. Those two will be fascinating to watch. Sergio Sede Camara, 5th on the grid, his best performance of the season. In qualifying, Lotterer 4th, Sims 3rd, da Costa 2nd, and a 2nd pole position this weekend here in New York City for Nick Cassidy for Envision Racing. This is how qualifying unfolded for round 12 of the championship. Visors down, out onto the track they go. Cassidy was quick in the first qualifying group and booked himself a place in the duels. Eduardo Mortara had a brake issue, and he will start at the back of the grid. Disaster for the championship leader. Robin Freitz tapped the wall. He didn't make it through to the duels. Jean-Eric Verne smacked the wall. He didn't make it through to the duels. In qualifying Group B, Antonio Giovinazzi did a good job and secured his best qualifying performance of the season. Lucas de Grassi went quickly, but was in and out of the pit lane too fast, therefore got his lap times deleted. Mitch Evans managed to make it through for Jaguar. New tyres as everybody went for their second run. Stoffel Vandoorne and Mitch Evans both managed to advance through to the duels. Not good news, though, for Venturi. Then the first of the quarterfinals saw Sergio Sede Camara eliminated in the Dragon, but he will still start in 5th place. Stoffel Vandoorne was beaten by Nick Cassidy. Nick de Vries was knocked out by Antonio Felix da Costa. And Mitch Evans ended up losing out to Alexander Sims and will start 7th on the grid, to the delight of Mahindra. Into the semi-finals. Nick Cassidy faced Andre Lotterer, but a messy lap from Lotterer meant he was eliminated and will start 4th on the grid. Alexander Sims was very close in his fight with da Costa, but the lock-up at turn 1 meant the Mahindra man will start 3rd. And then it was the final. Nick Cassidy versus Antonio Felix da Costa. It was tight, but it was a mega lap from Cassidy, who came across the line to secure pole position for the 2nd race in a row. The race winner yesterday starts at the front again today.
An absolutely phenomenal performance there from our 2nd pole sitter, 2nd time this weekend, Nick Cassidy. I mean, Dario, this is a qualifying that is very much keeping this championship alive. Our championship leader, Edo Mortara, is starting on the back row of the grid. Issue with the brake-by-wire there. I mean, the team must just be in pieces right now.
Yeah, that obviously not a good morning for them at all, and the recovery is so difficult because such a tight circuit here in New York City, so difficult to gain any advantage, enough advantage to overtake the cars in front to even score 1 point for 10th place, never mind 25 points for winning the race. So yeah, this is I mean, damage limitation, I think, is putting it too nicely today. They're really up against it now.
Only 2 out of the 4 championship leaders got through to the duels. Stoffel Vandoorne has qualified P6, Mitch Evans in P7, but Jean-Eric Verne down in P13. He hit the wall. I think, you know, he was looking really quite strong, really quite fast. I mean, clearly the DS2 cars are going well here. Antonio Felix da Costa, they're starting in P2. So how much frustration is going to be going through Jean-Eric Verne's mind here, and how much can he turn it around during the race at this kind of track?
I think ultimately made a mistake. And that's the thing, the drivers, what we're asking these drivers to do, there's such fine margins between success and failure, thousandths of a second. So drivers are going to make mistakes. It's so difficult to piece it all together. You ask any of these drivers up and down the pit lane, Jean-Eric Verne, are multiple champion here in Formula E.
Of course.
A qualifying machine. I think he's got the qualifying record, doesn't he?
Best qualifier, yeah, highest average qualifying.
Mistake. And that happens, but then you get Nick Cassidy just getting everything absolutely right.
So here's a question for you, Dario. So Nick Cassidy is saying that this is the track that he races at really well. Clearly he's got performance, phenomenal pace. I mean, I loved how Antonio Felix da Costa said, you know, I went all out on that final lap, but still couldn't match Nick Cassidy's pace. What is it that some tracks suit some drivers and other tracks don't? I mean, in what way? What are we looking at?
It could be the road surface, the shape, the way that the car's set up, the type of corner. Certain drivers are better at certain type of corners than others, and it's bizarre the way the bumps actually flow into each other. Some drivers deal with those better, and it's just a rhythm you get into on certain circuits, and it can be down to the first laps you actually drive there that can affect you years later. It's bizarre.
Well, it's definitely thrown things up, hasn't it, in terms of the championship. Let's go down to Redzi, who's in the Mahindra garage.
Alexander Sims, it was all smiles after quarterfinals yesterday. You've won semi-finals today. You seem to be loving life in New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's working. The car's working well here, and I'm in a decent rhythm, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. I don't quite understand coming into a weekend whether it's going to be a good or a bad performance. But I mean, yeah, this weekend's going well so far on push laps. But yeah, hopefully we can improve on yesterday's race performance.
And what would success look like for you today, do you think, in terms of the race?
Well, I mean, we're starting on the second row, so we want to stay there. At a minimum would be the first objective. Yeah, hopefully we can bring home a good haul of points, if not better.
We'd love to see it. Have a good race.
Cheers, thank you.
But again, he's nervous. I am.
Well, joining us now are the two finalists that went head-to-head, Antonio Felix da Costa and Nick Cassidy. Although I believe we've just been told some news. Have you been told this news as well, Nick Cassidy?
Ooh.
That there is a penalty. Unfortunately, you're going to start at the back of the grid. There was a battery infringement.
Sorry about doing that one here. That's.
Unfortunately, I am serious. We believe that Sylvain Philippe is just with the FIA at the moment. They're having that conversation. We're kind of getting a live report from them at the moment. Apologies.
Well, I mean, I got to be careful with my words, but I've been given a penalty for another car crashing into me. Doesn't really make sense. Because there's been a battery change due to the crash yesterday, as Lucas and Stoffel have hit me while I'm parked. So I see that extremely unfair.
Yeah, I mean, Dario, you're nodding your head here. You can speak from a driver's perspective.
Of course, the rule. Yeah, we say the rules are the rules. But that's a hard one. And then the FIA, we've seen it before in FormulaE. The FIA will say, well, it doesn't matter the circumstances behind it. Those are the rules. But for you, just personally, that's a harsh penalty.
So sorry, man. You drove. That's nothing to do with your laps.
Thanks, man. If you want the trophy, I give it to you, but it'll be 5 pieces.
I do want the trophy.
It'll be in 5 pieces.
Sorry, man. So sorry.
Do I get the points for pole, or are they going to be weird about that too?
Know.
I would assume, not sure. We will come back to you on that one.
Yes.
Okay, we'll say it's a completely unofficial answer that yes, you do get the points. Well, Nick, apologies for that, which basically means we do still have our pole sitter here, Antonio.
Thank you. I knew that. That's why.
Amazing sportsmanship here between the two of them.
If someone is parked in the wall and you're going to crash, hold it flat and do the battery.
Okay.
Nick, well, great.
Good advice. Thanks so much for speaking to us. A very difficult time there, Nick. I was obviously going to go and catch up with the team. Well, congratulations, our pole sitter.
Yeah, thank you. It sucks for him, to be honest. He drove. Because the funny thing about that quali is, like, I knew he had a little edge on me, so I went a little bit over my limit, and it worked out for most of the lap, apart from T9, where I just had a small lockup on my right front, which is my outside wheel, and I just couldn't turn in. And I kind of missed it there, so it was fun, like, to put it on the line, knowing the risks and what the consequences were. And yeah, obviously taking pole now is not the way I wanted to do it. It was a super fun quali and going head-to-head with Nick. But yeah, I'll take that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and it kind of makes up for what happened kind of in yesterday's race.
That's 2 in a row.
How much pressure do you feel in these duels? Is it different than normal qualifying?
It's less than the group quali. But I go through my process and I make sure I relax myself. And you gotta be, I think you know this, but you have to fun drive it. If you force it, man, and sometimes it's easier to say than to do it, but I'm just fun driving at the moment, unfortunately my year started a bit slow and we're not really there in the championship, so I can just go out and, yeah, push flat out, and it's working out.
I love how you're calling it a fun drive. I'm sure that's not how the team are considering it, because obviously, points bring prizes when it comes to the team's championship as well.
Yeah, they don't need to know that I call it fun driving.
Right. We won't mention it. I'm sure they're not watching. Yeah. I suppose Jean-Eric Verne, your teammate, he's starting down in P13. There's not going to be much that you can do to help him in today's race.
Well, if I do get to the point to helping him, then my day's gone really wrong.
But you're taking points
or his has gone really well.
Big points away from the guy, maybe the guys.
Yeah,
who are
exactly.
Look,
I think the best thing I can do now is try and win this race. P13 is not too bad. Jeff's a fighter. He'll be coming in points for sure. Starting on the clean side of the grid, which is a small advantage, so he'll be all right.
For you, the race today, feel good about race pace?
I do. Yesterday we kind of went backwards here and there. We did a few mistakes, but not by race pace, it was other things. And when we start analyzing GPS speeds and stuff, we were actually pretty quick. So we're not going to be 10 seconds in front of anyone, but I think we've got a good chance of fighting for the win.
All right, well, Antonio Felix da Costa, huge congratulations on inheriting the pole position here in New York City. Well, the drama just continues, doesn't it? Do join us in just over 2 hours' time as racing gets underway.
Formula E is back in Brooklyn.
We get racing underway on the streets of Brooklyn, New York City. It's Verne facing the wrong way at turn 6. to the outside, and he sweeps through. Look at the rain. Eduardo Mortara, there's aquaplane off. Oh, they're all off. That's how quickly it can all change in the ABB Formula E World Championship.